Hi, my name is Paul, and this is the first of what I hope will be many updates on The Young and the Restless. First, I gotta tell you, I started watching The Young and Restless, and I'm gonna date myself by doing this, but I started watching The Young and Restless in 1981. So, without further ado, now that we've established that I am a fan, I'm gonna dive into what happened on today's date, which is the 16th of March, 2015. So, first thing we're gonna cover is Kelly and Victor. Now, Kelly and Victor have an odd little alignment right now, and it seems that Victor's making moves as the puppet master, as we've seen him do before, only this time he's got Kelly to sort of be his puppet. Now, the first thing he does is he reminds her that she's got a role to play and she has to play her part convincingly. She's suspicious of Victor and accuses him of double-crossing her. He assures her that he's not double-crossing her, he's a man of his word, and that all she has to do is sort of play her role and this will work out. She'll get a lawyer, which is what she's worried about, not seeing her lawyer. He assures her that not only will she get a lawyer, but she's going to make bail, and she just has to do as she's instructed and everything will work out. Okay, the next thing we see is Mariah and Summer having it out as per usual. Their usual fights are, Summer saying, "You're jealous of me." Mariah saying, "No, I'm not. Your life is pathetic. Who'd want a cheating husband?" She accuses her of having an interest, obviously, in Austin. And this continues. Mariah turns to Summer and tells her that she feels sorry for her. Summer turns around and says, "Yeah, your life is empty and lonely, so there you go, I feel sorry for you too." So we get a bit of that. Then we see Stitch talking to Kevin. Now, Stitch right now is acting like Mr. Suspicious, and he, runs right to Kevin and tells him everything that Abby told him, convinces him that he knows all about their plan. Now, Kevin, instead of buying this all, he gets suspicious and thinks that Stitch is up to something and has an agenda. So once Stitch explains how Abby spilled the beans, Kevin's absolutely suspicious, and the rest of them start to think that maybe Stitch has something to do with the killing. He also finds it suspicious that Stitch orchestrated Abby staying at Vicky's place and thinks it's so that he can keep an eye on her. And we're really starting to see, the seeds being planted that Stitch might be the killer. What is he up to? Why is he so involved in this? The kids are basically running around like Scooby-Doo, looking for clue after clue, and Stitch seems to, hold some of the answers, but he's playing it close to the vest, so we don't know what his agenda is quite yet. Then after that, we basically see Adam / Gabriel at the engagement party, launch into a cryptic toast, that's supposed to be celebrating the upcoming nuptials of Billy and Chelsea. But we can tell that, Gabriel / Adam has his own agenda. He looks like he's looking directly at Chelsea, who's standing next to Sage, as he pours his heart out to how much he loves his wife and wishes she could see him for the person that he really is. So once again, this whole Adam Gabriel thing is sort of playing out in the most surreal way. I mean, it's sort of goofy when everybody in the room, is in the dark except for him and Jack, and we know what's going on, so we see these overt moves, and it's hard not to think the guy's either creepy or has his own agenda. So this game gets played out a little bit more. Okay, Jack eventually has enough of this, and after a few attempts, he manages to yank Gabriel out of the room because his toast is becoming way too personal, and it looks like he's about to spill the beans. Then we go back to Victor and Kelly, and Victor's urging Kelly to play ball, and that she's going to get a lawyer, and he says he's a man of his words, but he can't, show his intent in public because it has to, it's got to appear to everybody that he's all for her being locked up because he's concerned about Phyllis. So she says she understands, and she assures him that, she's going to play her, she says she understands, and she's, assures him that she's going to play her part in all of this. Victor tells her once again that she has to play the role, follow the instructions of her lawyer, not act way too cocky, and she also has to appear to be like fragile, like a bird for Jack, so he sees her as, wounded and pathetic. Okay, so next we see that Adam and Jack have a conversation where Jack tries to drill it into his head that, he's taking this too far, people are going to start to figure out, who he is, and he's drunk, and he doesn't care. He just basically says that he had a plan, and that plan's gone out the window, and now he's going to sort of improvise. But when Jack tells him, some things are meant to be and some things aren't, and maybe it's that him and Chelsea weren't meant to be together, and he turns to Jack and he tells him there's no way that that's going to happen, that he's meant to be with Chelsea and he will do everything to make that happen. So we see that things are ratcheting up. They get even more intense when Chelsea's sort of under pressure for Billy because he wants to get married right away, because we can all tell that he's hearing footsteps. This whole Gabriel thing has got him sort of wigged out, and he wants to get her there quickly. And Chelsea's sort of almost like she doesn't know why, but she's dragging her feet in a sense, and she begs for time. So they end up agreeing on 30 days to get married. Okay. More Jack trying to reason with Adam, and Adam not listening. He's sort of hell-bent. We cut to Kelly, and all of a sudden we see her not in jail anymore, and she's in her hotel room, and she's bouncing around like she hasn't got a care in the world. She's chipper. She's ordered room service, and then we take a look at her iPad, and we see that she's got an itinerary for a flight that she's booked, and she seems very, very happy about this. So we don't know what to make of this. And then we cut back to Kevin and Mariah and the kids, and they think that basically Stitch has something to do with what's going on. He just seems to have worked himself into all pieces of this puzzle. So Kevin does a little more hacking, and what does he find? He finds an interview that Austin did, and it turns out he did this interview with Stitch. Now, Stitch had previously said that he knew about this interview because he was approached by Austin, but that he turned him down flat. We then see him being interviewed by Austin, and so the kids can already tell that he is lying about that. Now, as we watch the interview unfold, we see that it takes a turn because there's something that we haven't heard, a question that Austin has asked Stitch that he doesn't like. So he gets upset and immediately shuts the camera off. So there's more speculating about what's going on. The next scene we see is at Vicky's place, and Abby's running around in the dark. Someone's turned the lights off. She heads to the stairs to see if someone's there. She comes back, and all of a sudden she sees in the dark someone come out, and it's a figure, and that person is Stitch. And she says, where did you come from? Were you here the whole time? He turns around and says, no, I came from the garage, blah, 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 the lights were out. Okay. So then the next scene we see is Phyllis. Now Phyllis knows something's up with Kelly, so she pays her a visit at the hotel, and you can tell that she, even though she'd love to see Kelly put away, she can smell a rat. She knows something's wrong. She knows that other people are involved, and she knows that Kelly basically confessed for no reason. Okay, the next thing we see is Phyllis pays Kelly a visit in her hotel room. Now, Phyllis knows something's up with Kelly. She knows that, it's not what it seems. So eventually, Phyllis gets a little curious. She sneaks a peek at Kelly's iPad, and she sees that she has booked herself a flight, and she sees her itinerary. Now she confronts her, and Kelly just pawns it off too. It's a trip that she booked previously. Phyllis isn't having any of it, and she says she's going to call the cops. So next scene we see is Adam, or Gabriel, approaching Billy, and he's with Jack. Now he apologizes for his behavior and says that that won't happen again, and that the next time he sees the person that he loves, he's going to be able to express to them what he feels once he gets them alone. And we all know, obviously, he's talking about Chelsea. Then in the next scene we see Stitch and Abby return from looking for an intruder in Vicky's house, and they see that someone is in the house because they see on the mirror that someone has written another cryptic message. So there's more of the same, and you have a sense with Stitch running around that it's starting to point towards him because of his proximity to Abby when all this stuff is going on, and the way he was in the house without her knowing previously. But obviously we have to wait to see how that plays out. So the next scene we see that Jack accuses Billy of actually rushing his engagement because he's worried about Gabriel's intentions towards Chelsea. And Billy sort of pawns it off that it isn't really his thing. He's just gone through one hell of a year, and he just knows what he knows, and he wants to be with the person that he wants to be. And they leave it at that. So Gabriel / Adam is walking around the house, and he's in the background, and Chelsea and Sage are talking, and they're talking about the engagement, and he overhears the real reason that she wants to slow the engagement down is because she wants a traditional wedding with all the frills, and she wants to take her time and wants a long engagement. So he sort of feels comforted in that. All right, next we see Jack, and we see he's suddenly figured out, after all the commotion, that Phyllis is no longer in the Abbott house and has taken off somewhere. And obviously he's concerned. We see the scene where Phyllis is in the hotel room. She confronts Kelly about jumping bail after seeing her itinerary, and she picks up the phone to call the authorities, and she gets cracked over the head with a champagne bottle by Kelly and is unconscious. And the last scene we see is Victor, and he shows up at the confessional again, and once again we do not know who he's talking to. We can just see him through the mesh of the confessional, and he's talking to this mystery person, and he says that that Kelly's out on bail, and that in 24 hours she will be out of town, and he reminds that mystery person that they as well have to play their part. And that's it for this episode. So this is the first run of me sort of just keeping you up to date on what's going on in the Y&R. I know I found it frustrating over the years. Previously I didn't have DVRs or anything like that, and if I missed a day, or I was it was on a schedule that work-wise didn't work, I found that I had to go to a lot of blogs in order to find out what was going on. So this is sort of my way of just sort of keeping people that are interested in the show up to date on what's going on if they don't have time to watch it or they don't have the benefit of DVR. I'll be talking more about comings and goings and plot twists and what I think of the writing, because it does vary in some instances. I've been really happy with the writing at some points, and I've thought it was atrocious at other points. I've seen twists and turns and explanations for characters coming back and going that I thought were hokey, and some of them I thought were plausible. So I'll be looking for your feedback as well, and I'll share my thoughts on this show. I mean, it's been, like I said, 34 years. I don't know anything other than to watch this show, so it's about time I started talking about it. I hope you find it interesting, and tell a friend or two, and hopefully we can build a community of people who love the Y&R and love talking about it. But have a good night.